Well, hi again, viewers. Welcome to The Way I Do It. Here we are back on my little construction site at my farm. I'm building a fabric tension building using the post frame building type Piers system. So let me walk you around and show you what we have going. So many of you may know what a fabric tension building is. It's ordinarily called a hoop building. It's those big white structures. Some look like tents. They're used as temporary buildings on large construction sites, but they're also used as what I'll call a semi-permanent building, usually on a farm. Many have gotten a bad name because they build them like a plastic greenhouse building with just tubing, but mine is built with a steel double truss frame. It's going to be placed on 10-foot centers. This building is 60 feet wide by 150 feet long. The common attachment to the ground that they use is just these blocks that you buy from your concrete supplier. They're like a 2x2 by 60-inch block typically. And what they would do is dig a small trench along here, put gravel and sand under it to level them. Put one layer of them, and then they have typically a key on top. So then they would put a second layer. Then they suggest tying them all together with lag bolts and steel plates, and that creates the I don't want to call it a framework. I call it a footer. It would more be just a heavy weight to hold it down. So. The problem with those is I live in New York State, and the frost line at its maximum is about 42 inches. So the recommended depth is 48 inches for getting a structure to not move with frost. I'm told typically our frost line here is anywhere from maximum 24 to 30 inches. We had a few years where we had 15 degrees below zero about 7 years ago for about 3 weeks. It's the worst anybody's ever seen it. So back to this building. So what I've done is on the 10-foot centers, the main frame is just supported along the side here. And what I've done is I've used a bobcat with a 24-inch auger to dig the hole 48 inches deep. And I've tried to do that along for all the holes. You want to check with your local building code to make sure you meet the requirements for them. In my case, I live in New York State, and there's certain exemptions for agricultural buildings, which this will be. And that exempts me from building codes. However, any smart person will follow those building codes because they were put in place not to make somebody money, but to provide a longer lasting structure. It becomes sort of nuclear warfare. Now, remember, this is a semi-permanent structure. It would give it a life of 10 to 15 years is what they say for the top if you take care of it. Make sure it doesn't get loose. So you just want it not to blow away. I went 4 feet in the ground with these footers, and what I have, you can buy sonotubes, but I watched the R&R Builders on YouTube, and he said he got this deal on these cardboard forms, and he will actually take his, cut them down the side and make them smaller. I'm probably going to use mine that size because the auger I used was 2 feet. So I'll use that form, and I'll set it up so the top will be at the same height all around. You can see I have my transit right there, well, laser level. Okay, so I'll set these and then and fill them, and it's kind of like I can't miss. I was careful to set that string up 2 feet to the center of that with 10-foot spacings, but I've got like a 6x8 maybe landing pad that's made to go in the center of that, And so at worst case, I've got 4 inches off the center. I'm going to have a 20-inch, okay, 20-inch diameter, 10-inch radius. So my 4 inches off the center ends up being, I have an easy leeway, of the 6 inches to the edge. So hopefully I get them pretty well centered if I'm careful when I set it up. So what I intend to do on the ends, because if you're familiar with these structures, they typically have a fabric end, which is not pulled over anything, so it's hard to keep it from flapping in the wind. Or what many people do is they either leave them open, and I have way too much wind here to leave it open. You can see I'm somewhat on a hill. Okay. But what I'm doing is adding piers here. So on this 60-foot building, I will have the corner, then I'll have a pier at 10 feet, 10 feet. I have a 20-foot opening, and then a pier at 10, 10, and then the corner. So the 20-foot opening will be a doorway, so I can drive through with a hay wagon or large truck. So it's going to be like 14 feet tall by 20 feet wide. The structure, maybe I'll include a picture, but the structure is made to have a 10-foot sidewall, and then it peaks. So it's about 22 feet from the attachment point, 22 feet to the peak, and then back down the side. Now in my case, I'll probably have the attachment points, I don't know, 8 inches above ground. And what that does is it keeps the metal of the frame above the sand. It will allow additional sand to be put on the inside without compacting to raise the floor. And it will allow, probably what I have in mind is for water control, because this whole area, when it rained, it just absorbed the water in the whole area. But now it's going to run off, so it's going to have a 30-foot by 150-foot running off into this area here. So on these buildings, what they have is, they call it a skirt. So from the bottom edge, whatever you want. So I asked for a 4-foot skirt. With it being a plastic material, woven plastic material, contact with the soil is not a problem. So what I'll do is that skirt will come down, and I'll put large crushed stone on it, and probably a drain tile in it, and I'll run the water that way, and it'll end up going in the ditch. There's a ditch over there, and off it goes. So that'll be good water control. So yeah, this is where we are. Now, I'm probably going to put together a large video of all the construction, but along the way I'm going to have these teasers and show you how well we're doing. I found this again on a Brian's farming videos. He had an economical building put up, and I said, hey, I could probably do that. And I got a hold of the company, and well, it's not as economical as it was 4 years ago, but it is doable for my purposes. So let me show you a little cool thing. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was telling me how when they used to plant telephone poles, they had a scoop, and it was actually like a round shovel, and they would drop the shovel down in the hole, and then they would use a bar behind it, and they would push it with a bar, and they would then lift up the dirt with that scoop. So I used this to clean out the bottom of the hole a little better than what the auger could, because the auger has teeth. It's not like just cutting edge. So yeah, I cleaned the bottoms out a little bit to give me a little more stability. And so yeah, that's it. Shoot me any questions, and watch for the next video. Give me a like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And that's the way I do it.